Good morning. So last week we started, there's copies there. Last week we started a Mamor, it's printed Melukut, Badi Bishalom Nafshi. So just to recap, David HaMelech writes in Tilim, famous Pasuk, Kapitel Nun Hey, Pasuk Yites, that Hashem says, he says about the Eibishter, Badi Bishalom Nafshi, Hashem redeems my soul in peace, mikrovli, from my enemies. Ki b'dam hayumadi, many people were against me, or many people were with me. Different pirushim. So the Rebbe brought that the Frierdiker Rebbe brings down in his Igeres Hakedah Shalei, but he gave Yites Kislev, that he said that the Alter Rebbe says that when I read Sefer Tehillim, this pasuk of Badi Bishalom Nafshi, before I started the next pasuk, afterwards Yitzasi B'Shalom, Ma'Hashem Shalom. So in other words, that the Geula has a special shaykhis to Badi Bishalom Nafshi. Now the Rebbe said also this is negeya also to the this is negeya as well also to his son, the Admar Tzai, which also has a shaykhis to Badi Bishalom Nafshi Yud Kislev, because we read this pasuk b'negeya the Chodshei Hayom, we read it on Yud. Now also the Geula Yud Beis Gimel Tammuz, which the Frierdiker Rebbe is the Malam Mekemei, also has the shaykhis to Badi Bishalom Nafshi, like it's proven in the box over there, the Sefer Tehillim. Now he says V'yishleimar that this idea of that shaykh to the Badi Bishalom Nafshi is also shaykh to Yites Kislev, which was also on Tuesday. Which was Tuesday is Yom Shulchan Bekitev. Yites Kislev, he says. Yites Kislev. First he says Yites Kislev. It has to do with Yom Shulchan Bekitev, and also Kislev, which is the third month of the year, and also Beis Gimel Tammuz, which is also on a Tuesday, the third month. Yom Shulchan Bekitev. Why? Because the Iker of Badi Bishalom Nafshi is not so much the P'tiyah, but the P'tiyah is Bishalom, which that's the union of the Shlishi. Okay, and then in Beis we said that in this passage there's two Purushim. Either Badi Bishalom Nafshi means that the Eibishter redeems Tzadikim, either going on top of David HaMelech, that the Eibishter redeems him from the peace, like the Yerushalmi says, Badi Bishalom Nafshi is going on the how David HaMelech was redeemed from the Melchamas of Shalom. So also Badi Bishalom Nafshi by Geula Yites Kislev and Yud Beis Gimel Tammuz and Yud Kislev means that the Eibishter is Poed Tzadikim. And the second explanation of Badi Bishalom Nafshi is, like the Gemara says, Kol Ha'isuk B'Teirik Minas Chasadim U'Mispal B'Tzibar, Hashem says, Ki Pida'ani Li U'Levanei Ben U'Mes Olam. At the Eibishter, the person who's Eisi B'Teira is part of the Eibishter K'biyachol. So we have to understand the connection between the two. In addition, every Pirush we know has connection one to another. The Drushim of Yites Kislev and Yud Beis Tammuz, which we know it was Mamash Badi Bishalom Kipshutei, also brings these psukim. So we see that these Purushim have a connection, an intrinsic connection one to another. Now we have to understand, according to the first explanation, it's mashma that the Eibishter redeems the Yidden, or we're redeeming the Eibishter. And the first explanation is mashma that the Eibishter is redeeming us. So how do we coincide? All right, that's where we stopped off the other day. Let's continue Gimel. Yuv and Zebehektim Shigimon Yonim. The Teirug Minas Chasad Mitfila B'Tziber Shal Yodim B'Da'ani Li Ulevanai Him Gimel Ha'amudim Shaleim Ha'ilam Oimid. Understand this by first prefacing that these three concepts of Teirug Minas Chasadim and Tefillah B'Tziber, davening with a minyan, which the Eibishter says, it's like you redeemed me and my children, these three pillars are the three pillars that the world stands on. We started this a little bit also the other day, but we'll start from here. So these three inyanim of Teirug Minas Chasadim Utfila, which through that they redeemed the Eibishter and his children. These are the three pillars that the world stands on. Teirug Minas Chasadim. Now, and since the existence of the world and the existence and that the world stands on is these three pillars of Teirah, Veda, Minas Chasadim, the Gimel Yanim Elo, Hengam b'tchilas habriya. So you must say that since the world is lasting on these three, the world stands on Teda Aveda Gemilas Chasadim, so you have to say that it was there in the beginning of the creation. Even though we know the creation of the world was because Hashem desired that there should be a world, like the Rebbe Rashab says in Samach Vav over there, if a Taivas can cash in it, the Eibishter had gewollt, the Eibishter wanted that there should be a world. Now, Barak Achshav B'Yisrusa de Lasat Talyam and only, like the Alter Rebbe writes in Kutiteda, that now the world is dependent on Hashem needs, every Rosh Hashanah we need to renew that will that the Eibishter should want to create the world. After became, the Rebbe says, nevertheless, Mekiv and Shekamanas Abriya. Since the world was created, like Rashi writes, Bereshis, Beis Reishis, B'Shvil Yisrael, B'Shvil HaTeira. So you must say that even though but since the whole world was for the creation of the world was B'Shvil HaTeira, B'Shvil Yisrael, you must say that these three pillars of Teira Aveda or Gemilas Chasadim were also there. Okay, so the Rebbe says this. What's this idea? It's known what the Mr. Magid and the Alter Rebbe says on Maimer Azal, Da Malamayla Mimbach. You should know what's above you. Now, a simple explanation, what the Mishnayos is saying, Pirkei Avos is saying, you should know that you should know what's above you, that the Eibishter is watching and Izin Shemas, etc., etc. But the Rav Magid and the Alter Rebbe brought down the Chol Mashalamayla Hakel Himumcha. You should know that anything that goes on above is dependent on you. So you should know Malamayla, whatever goes on upstairs, Mimcha is from you, is from us. Now, and from the continuation over there, from this Teda, it's understood that through the Aveda of a person, you're able to affect Lamaila the way it was even before the Aveda. And this, like the Rav Magid writes, that you should make a person in our image. What does that mean? This is like a mashal of a person that has a son. Since this father loves the son so much, so the image of a person's son is engraved in his thoughts. And since by the Eibishter, past, present, and future is all the same thing, therefore, so the Eibishter, who we are the Eibishter's children, the tzura of the Yidden is engraved in the Eibishter, the way the Neshamas Yisrael are in the way of a creation. And even more, the way they come down over here. The Machshavta Yisparach Gam Kedim Shnivro, so they're in the Machshav of the Eibishter even before the Neshamas were brought down over here, before they were created. This is also what the Medrash says, that the Eibishter Kaviyachol, who did he consult to create the world? So the Medrash says, B'nish Meisen Shal Sadikim, with the Neshamas of the Yidden. This that the Eibishter knew he's going to have a great tainig of the tzaddikim. Hine tainig zeh olo lefanav yisparech. This tainig had a passed by the Eibishter even before the creation, and because of that, that's why Hashem created the world. Now, and this is also, these three pillars of Teda Avedis Gemilas Chasadim was in the beginning of creation. So since the Eibishter Kaviyachol was mitzamtzim himself with the shadow of the Yidden before the world was created, Hine idea Aveda Yisrael, the Teda Aveda Gemilas Chasadim, Shein Gimel Akaven Chesed Gvur Tiferes. Now, since through the Aveda of a Yid, Yid Zaved and Teda, Aved Gumilas Chasadim, which are also the three pillars of Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, and also in the Machshava Dibur Meiser. So Nasa Lamaila Lifnei Abriya Hatzir the Chagas with Machshava Dibur Meiser, and the Saba Kolel is also through a Yid Zaved of Teda, Aved Gumilas Chasadim, which is the Gimel Kavim of Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, which is Machshava Dibur Meiser. So you're able to create, even before the Bria, this Tzir, Lamaila of Chesed Gvur Tiferes, Machshava Dibur Meiser, which created the world. So we said in Gimel, just to recap, is we said that we asked the question, is it the Badi Bishalom, is it the Eibishter redeeming us, or are we redeeming the Eibishter? So the Rebbe said, we'll understand this by prefacing these to the three inyanim of Teda, Minas Chasadim, and Tefillah, which we know that's how we're able to redeem the Eibishter by Teda, Minas Chasadim, and Tefillah, which these are the three pillars of the world is able to exist. Now, since the world lasts on Teda, Aved, Minas Chasadim, you must say that it was there in the beginning of the world, even though Hashem created, like the pasuk says in Micha, Ki Chofetz Chesed Hu, but you must say that since the Kavanah of the Bria was for Yisrael, B'Shvil HaTeda, you must say that all these Amudim were there from the beginning. Now, what does that mean? So he says, he brought down from the Nava Magid and the Alter Rebbe, that Da Malamayla Mimcha, Mimach, the Chol Mashalamayla, whatever goes on upstairs is from us. Now, from the continuation of over there in the Teres Nava Magid, so the Chiddush is that through a person's Aveda, makes Lamaila even before it was, even before the Aveda. Like the Rav Magid writes on the pasuk Nasa Adam Tzamenu, it's like a person that loves his son. So since a person's love to his son is so great, so the Tzudas Haben has always been Machshavte, and since by Hashem Hoya Hoyvivi is all the same, so this Tzurasim Shal Yisrael was even before the world was created. And that's the idea of who did Hashem consult to create the world, was it the Neshamis of Tzadikim. So he foresaw how the tzaddikim are going to create an aved in this world. So through that created Hashem. They should create a world as well. So these three, the same thing. These three amudim of Teda, Aved, and Minas Chasadim was also in the beginning of creation. Since the Eibishter was mitzamtzim himself, B'Tselem of Yisrael, even before the world was created, and through this aveda. So through the Aveda of Teda, Aveda, Minas Chasadim, which are Chagas, which is Machshava Dibur Meiser, that causes that causes also these idea upstairs. All right, Dalid. Ella, the Rebbe says, Shafal became nevertheless. Hanyon Mishinasim the Maila, the Avedas, Aveda the Yisrael Lifnei Aveda. Now, nevertheless, the ideas that are affected Lamaila through the Aveda of a person, for the Aveda, Einam Ba'osim Ha'ila Kamai Shehem La'ach Aveda. So even though that when a person down over here is able to affect, through the Aveda of Yisrael, is able to affect Lamaila, like the way it was Lefnei Aveda, but nevertheless, it's not the same the way it is after Aveda. He explains, Valderech HaYidu B'inyin, it's like what it says, Magid Devar of the Yaakov, Chukov Mishpat of the Yisrael. That whatever the Eibishter tells us to do, he does himself. Shepirish Dvarav Chukov Mishpatim Hu Sha'Kadosh Baruch Hu Mekayim Es HaMitzvos. What does that mean? Like we see in the Bar Mitzvah Maimer, that Magid Devar of the Yaakov, Chukov Mishpat of the Yisrael. That the Chukim and the Mishpatim that the Eibishter commands us, he's Mekayim himself. Mm-hmm. Now, what does that mean? Sheish Pazeh Beis Inyanim. There's two ideas to this Hashem created, Hashem doing, Hashem being Mekayim his own mitzvahs. Inyan Alefu, Hidrashas Razal al Pasek, Mashu Eise, Hu Emer Yisrael Asis. Like also in the Bar Mitzvah Maimer, that what he tells us to do, he himself does. Or I should say, Mashu Eise, what he does, he tells the Yidden to do. Hainu, Shebetchila HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mekayim es ha-mitzvahs, that Hashem first is Mekayim mitzvahs. So Neisin Keach Yisrael Sheikayim es ha-mitzvahs. Asrusa de la'ela she'lekedem l'susa l'sata. So one shot is that the Eibishter, through the Eibishter being Mekayim the mitzvahs, the Asusa de La'ila, that gives us the Keach that we should be able to be Mekayim the mitzvahs as well. But it's the Asusa de La'ila of the Eibishter first that gives us the strength to do the mitzvahs. Inyan habezu, what's the second idea? The idea Kislev mitzvahs. The second explanation is through the Yidden being Mekayim mitzvahs. Through that, it draws lemaila that the Eibishter is Mekayim mitzvahs. In other words, a Srusa de La'ela, however, through Shalidei Srusa de L'Sata. Now, ve'inyan zeh of mitzvahs HaKadosh Baruch Hu shenasa yidei kiyum mitzvahs to Yisrael hu na'al yeser mikiyum mitzvahs HaKadosh Baruch Hu k'meishu mitzad atzmi. When the Yid, the mitzvahs of the Eibishter, that's done through the Yidden being Mekayim the mitzvahs, it's a lot higher than the Eibishter being Mekayim it himself. The Susa de La'ila, which comes from the Susa de La'ila, is a lot higher than Susa de La'ila before the Susa de La'ila. U'kumeisha mitzvahs HaKadosh Baruch Hu shenasam ha'idei she'yisrael Mekayim ha'mitzvahs hina'am yeser ma'amitzvahs HaKadosh Baruch Hu k'meisha heim mitzad asmam. So just like we're explaining that the mitzvahs that the Eibishter does through the Yidden doing the mitzvahs is a lot higher than just the mitzvahs that the Eibishter does himself without any asusa de l'sata beforehand. You can say the same thing, the mitzvahs that the Eibishter does from the Yidden, yeah. The mitzvahs that the Eibishter does after the Yidden actually do Teda mitzvahs, Shenasu Aidei Kiyum Mitzvahs to Yisrael Lifnei Heimnal Yisrael Mitzvahs Hakadosh Baruch Hu Lifnei Kiyum Mitzvahs to Yisrael B'Peil Mamash. So he says that by the mitzvah that the Eibishter does through the Kiyum Mitzvahs to Yisrael Gufa, that the Eibishter, the mitzvah that the Eibishter does after the Kiyum of the Mitzvahs to Yisrael in the actual way are even higher than the mitzvahs that the Eibishter does before the Kiyum of the Mitzvahs of Yisrael B'Peil Mamash. So you have a few different levels over here. You have the Asusa de la Sata. Sorry, you have the Asusa de la Ela, the way the Eibishter does the mitzvahs by himself. You have the Asusa de la Sata, which causes the Eibishter Asusa de la Ela. And then you have, even a deeper level, you have how the Yidden are actually the Peil Mamash doing the mitzvahs, which that causes also the Asusa de la Ela, which is a lot higher than beforehand. Okay, hey, ubezeh yuvan masha omer Azal ala pasik vayerev vayibeker yem hashishi. It says the Gemara in Shabbos says that the Razal say that on the pasik vayerev it was evening, vayibeker it was morning, yem hashishi the sixth day. She yem hashishi the ma'aser bereishis that the yem hashishi of ma'aser bereishis sheikah in your ma'aser bereishis will be yem hashishi. As we know, the main sort of creation was on the sixth day, which was Yom Bra Adam Rishon, the day that Adam Rishon was created. Rosh Hashanah, like we say on Rosh Hashanah, Zeh Hayim Tchilas Ma'aseh. This is the day of creation, even though we know that the day the world was created was Chaf Elul, not Rosh Hashanah. So why are we saying Zeh Hayim Tchilas Ma'aseh? Because the Iker Ma'aseh Bereishis was for a person. The same thing by Yudas Kislev, which we know Rosh Hashanah Teres Achsidis of Dak Achsidis, Shezayim Tchilas Masech Shleimus Hakavan Amitis V'Briyas Adam, as we know that the Tchilas Masech is when the creation, the complete creation of Briyas Elam was there. So that's the Shleimus Hakavan of the world. So Tali B'Yamashishi the Sivan Shebei Nitna Atera is dependent. Let's just go back from the brackets. The Ma'aseh Bereishis Tali B'Yam Hashishi the Sivan Shebei Nitna Atera. This is dependent on the sixth day, which the Gemara says Teda was given. The Gemara says over there, as we know, the Eibishter made a Tanai with Ma'aser Bereishis, and they said that if the Yidden are going to be Mekayim Teda, great. If not, then they're finished. Since the Torah depends, the 6th day of creation, with Sivan, right, with Matan Torah, because the world was created, so the Yidden should be Mekayim Torah. What is the safety? They're not going to be Mekayim Torah, then the world will be done. Mashma, so it's implied, the Zeh should take a Vaki and the Maisa Bereishis Nasabi and Mashishi the Sivan, who loy rak mipnei hasafik shahaya ba'aretz shemalei kablu elagam lefi emes. This that the world is created, the Yom Mashishi of Maisa Bereishis has a direct connection with Matan Torah, so it implies that this, the Ketoikif of the Kiyum of Maisa Bereishis, which is made on the 6th day, it's not because maybe the Yidden will not be Mekayim the Torah, because that's the Fiamis. Kfi sheklapi shmaya galya. Gam mikredim shisol yikablo satera. That the Eibusher is saying this even before the world was created, that the entire creation of the world is all dependent on Torah. The Rebbe says, you can add the Mekivin Shem Yisrael Mekama Satera U'Tanai B'Maisa Bereshis. Since if the Yidden accepting the Torah is a Tanai Maisa Bereshis, Harigam K'Shiyadua Shemikredim Shiskam Atanai Atekiv the Maisa Hu K'Shiskam Atanai B'Peil. So it's obviously understood when it's done B'Peil. Okay, well let's stop over here.